Hello everyone, welcome back to Cyberrail and I hope you all are doing well and the topics and the modules till now we have covered is pretty clear to you guys and you have understood whatever we have discussed. In the previous video we have learned about the wireless hacking where we discussed the Wi-Fi encryption methods and tools and techniques to perform Wi-Fi hacking as well as wireless hacking, and I hope that is also pretty clear and you guys have understood why do we need Wi-Fi encryptions in order to prevent our system from the wireless hacking. And moving on further, we are going to discuss about the week 5 content. And as we are coming near to the CHV 13 module completion, guys, I hope you guys have understood things right till now. And if you guys are facing any kind of issue doing any practical thing, or you can say the theoretical part that you want me to re-repeat it, so please comment down in the comment section so that I can get back to you within another video so that you guys can understand the problem that you are facing in a pretty clear and an easy way, so that I can help you out and you can crack your CHV 13 exam practical in an easy and an understandable way. And also for the week 6 content, what we are going to do is we are going week 6 is particularly for the, you can say, preparation and finalization of the topics that we have covered, and in which we are going to understand about the writing and the mitigation of all these problems that we have learned and faced regarding and into the topic that we have discussed and all the modules, where I'm also going to share my CH exam prep tips that I have particularly used while I was preparing for CH and how to stay calm through this whole process. So I'm going to share it in an easy way and wonderful way so that you guys won't face any issue while preparing and while giving your CH exam. So for the week 5 guys, there's please hold on with me for the week 5 session because this is going to be really interesting and a wonderful session of the week 5 modules and as well as the content, because this is one of my favorite topic and it is also a bit complex for you guys to understand and manage for this web app hacking and exploitation. This is going to be about this particular topic and this is my personally favorite topic, and as I have mentioned, you guys have to hold on for this because there will be so many complexions and so many complexities that you're going to face while you are going to learn about this topic. And for this might be a little bit of a big and it may take a lot of time understanding things rather than the previous modules that we have covered up, surpassing it in an easy way and in a quicker way. But here you have to have some patience, have to sit for so many hours sometimes, and I am going to create a whole lot many videos for this particular session. There might be some sessions in which you will have 3 parts of a particular day content, like for the day 14 content that is going to be about web app hacking. In this particularly, you guys might have to face 3 parts of this particular session and content and day 14 module. So please hang on with me and do not lose your patience while you are learning things, because patience is really very important while you're learning things. And as I am myself a learner in some of the fields I am learning right now, in some of the journey of myself, I am also keeping a lot of patience. So that is really necessary to keep a patience, to keep your hands down on the particular thing and learn new things around the page. So I hope that you are understanding what I mean is, and for the day 14 we are going to have 3 parts of this particular session guys, and what I am going to tell you, and I'm going to you can say separate them so that you guys can understand. First is going to be web app hacking basics, which is going to be the topic of this particular video, and another one, part 2, is going to be about the OWASP top 10. As you know, OWASP top 10 is a vast topic and we are going to discuss each and every you can say vulnerability in a vast way, and also you can say in a separately and easily, so that I'm going to so for that I'm going to create a whole new video which is going to be for the part 2, and another one is going to be hands-on, that is going to be our part 3 of this particular video. So I hope you guys have understood how this day 14 is going to be separated and separated into 3 parts of this particular video. So I hope moving on further can help you now, and I should move on further with the discussion of the topics that we are going to learn in this video. Okay, firstly, before I move directly onto web app hacking, we should understand what basically is web app, and this might be a topic of learning and you can say favorite topic of many of the people around in this particular session as well. And many of you guys might have heard about bug hunting, which is basically web app hacking or mobile penetration testing. So you know the drill, guys. For the bug hunting, you need a lot of patience. So web app hacking is somehow similar while you perform the web app bug bounty programs, while you perform things on the web app bug bounty programs. It is similar, and we are going to learn so many new things inside of you. So just keep up your Josh high and continue with me. Firstly, we are going to discuss what are web app. Firstly, what is web app? Web app is a kind of software, guys, or you can say is a software or a program. A web app is basically a software or a program that runs on a web server, let me write it down for you guys so that you guys can understand, that runs on a web server and can be accessed through browsers. You can say through browsers such as Google, just give me a second here, through Google Firefox, or you can say Microsoft Edge. You might have heard about Edge as well. So these are the kind of web browsers through which you can access your software or a program where your web app runs on a web server. So let me just take an example of a Facebook. Facebook is one of the web app, or you can say Facebook, Instagram. These are kind of the web apps. Facebook, Instagram, etc. Or you can say online banking, also the e-commerce. Just give me a second. Yeah, e-commerce. These are all the kind of web apps, guys. Let's just take an example so that I can so that you guys can understand. Let's say this is your Facebook. Let's say this is your Facebook, and what happens is basically this Facebook runs on a kind of a server that is known as web server, which you can basically open, which you can open on any of your browser, that is basically your Google, or you can say Firefox. So let me show you what kind of web server, what kind of web app is it. Let's just open our Google. Let's say this is your browser, and on this particular browser, what happens is there runs a web server which runs a different kind of you can say different kind of web apps. Let's say, let me open LinkedIn, which is also a kind of web app. This is a kind of web app which runs on a particular server, and that server can be opened with the help of a Google, or you can say any kind of browser. So as I have shown you that you can go on your oh my god, guys, just give me a second. I have got so many notifications. I don't know how. Okay, I'll just take it on later on, so just leave it for a second. That's how things basically work, and that's what web apps are known to be. So I hope this is clear and you guys have understood what web app is basically. And now moving on further, web app basically have two main parts. Now you might be thinking, what two main parts are it? Or some of you might have also heard about it. It have two main parts. And what are these two main parts? Let's say number one is front end and another one is back end, guys. You guys might have heard and some of you might be not aware about it, so I'll make it clear to you guys what are the two main parts. These videos are going to be very big, guys, and you have to keep up the patience to listen to whatever I am teaching over here and telling you and explaining my personal experience over here. You have to keep up the patience. And again, there is a disclaimer for you guys. It's basically for the educational purpose only. Do not use it for malicious intent or for illegal activities. This is just only for educational purpose. Moving on further, we have is two main parts, that is basically the front end and front end, just a second, guys. Front end, and another one is the back end. Okay, yeah, back end. And for the front end and the back end, what front end is basically known to be the client side. Just give me a second, let me write it down here. Yeah, front end is basically known to be the client side. And what basically we see on a client side is, we basically see is what a user see, that is going to be a kind of, you can say, HTML, SSS, sorry, I'm CSS, I'm so sorry guys, HTML, CSS, or you can say the JavaScript. And as I have shown you the page of LinkedIn right now, so you can see I was able to see my own profile where I have so many features like saved or bookmarks on my profile page, or to create a post. There are several things that a user can only see. So that was my client side. That was a client side where I was able to see, because I am using that particular side of the page, or you can say of the web app. That's what front end is. And moving on further, we have is for the back end, and back end is basically the server side. Server side is, as we have discussed what server side is, server, and as we know that these web apps basically works on the server, and for those server we need a backend, and on backend we basically have the developers who creates everything, and this is basically to handles the logic databases, or you can say an authentication processes, and authentication processes, which is basically, you can say, you can consider, or you can say, is PHP, because PHP, we use PHP to handle database, a dynamic database or a static database. We use PHP to handle databases, and you can say Python to create different kinds of, you can say, to create different kinds, to use different kind of libraries, or to put on the features, you can say, for the vision, or you can say something like that. Or you can use Python for that particular scene. And then comes the Node.js to handle the, sometimes you can use Node.js to handle the payment procedures like Stripe. You can use Stripe for that particular thing, and that's how backend work for the web app, and that is what backend is for the web app. So I'll just give you take a quick example so that you guys can understand what I meant with the web app, and what are these two main parts of particularly of the backend, sorry, web app. Yeah, so let's just say this is a server. Oh sorry, this is, firstly let's just say this is a kind of browser. Let's say this is Google. I'll mention it over here. Let's say this is Google web browser. We have this as a Google as a web browser. Now there is a server which is implemented, or you can say which is created for a particular website. For what? A particular website. And this is a whole server. Let me just write it down also. This is a server. This is a server to handle the website on the web browser. So understood, to server, this is a server to handle the website on the web browser, and this server basically have is backend. This server is handled with the help of backend. Okay. Handled with the help of, you can say, backend. Yeah, this server is handled with the help of, okay, I just did a mistake. Yeah, just give me a second. We basically handle the server with the help of backend, because it is the process of getting into any website. I hope this is clear, that how to manage the process of getting into any website or something like that. So this is how you handle the server with the help of backend, because and the backend, okay, just give me a second, let me write it down here. Let's say this is backend, this is the server, and this consists of backend, which handles all the procedure of the website, which handles all the procedure of the website from the behind, or you can say, or to get into, the website. And that's what basically the backend helps us with. Then inside the backend comes the front end, because after the completion of backend, we give a feature, or we give the UI for the users to see. We give what? We give, okay, here it is now. In the backend there is a front end, because after creating a backend, we give a UI for the users to see that website. We give a UI which can be seen by anyone using that website. So that is basically the front end, and which is also said to be, you can say, so that is basically the front end which can be seen by anyone and users can use it. That's what the front end is. So I hope the particular diagram is clear and you guys have got a hold that what is web app, what is web server, what are the two main parts of this web app, which is basically the front end and the back end. Front end is basically the client side. Client side means that is particularly given to the client, and back end is basically the server side, which is being handled, or which is handled by you can say the developers and the person who is creating that, or who is handling that basic server. So that is what it was for. And moving on further, we are going to discuss about is exploitations, as our topic for this is web app and exploitation, web application and exploitations. Moving on further, we are going to discuss about is exploitation. Just give me a second, guys. Exploitations. Yeah. Exploitations is basically, you can say, it is meant to be finding, or you can say taking advantage, as I have already told you in the previous video with privilege escalation also, that how to get the exploitation or what are the exploitations. So it is almost similar, and it is basically similar only to what exploitations are. It is meant to be finding or taking advantage of the security weaknesses in you can say, or vulnerabilities or loopholes. Just give me a second, guys. Yeah, or loopholes, vulnerabilities, or it is meant to be finding or taking advantages of the security weaknesses, vulnerabilities or loopholes in web apps, which are basically available or which are present in the web apps to gain unauthorized access. We all have heard about the particular session, bug hunting, where we basically try to find the loopholes and report it to the company so that they can get a hold, and they just take you can say take preventive measures in order to avoid those unauthorized accesses, right? I guess I'm right and I'm clear to you guys. Unauthorized access in order to steal, steal or manipulate the data and system of the web app. That is basically exploitation means. Let's just take an example for this as well, so that I will take a lot of time to explain this particular thing so that you guys won't face any issue. Let's say this is any kind of web app, and this have a program, or you can say a bug bounty program, where you are hunting, or you can just say you are just scrolling down, scrolling the website, and you saw something. Let's just take, you are a normal human and you're scrolling the website, and you are able to write down your name, you by chance, or you can say, yeah, you by chance wrote your name as name as what we can say 7 into 7, which is basically not a name, it is a kind of operator, right guys? It is a kind of operator and it should not take up the output or input like this. They should tell you that this is a wrong output that you have inputted in your field or your name. But what you observed is but what you observed is what you observed is let's just say that you yeah what you observed is that when you logged into the site or application, what thing you faced is or you saw is that it shows high 49, which is basically not your name, which is basically not your name, right? Your name is something that you by chance not able to write or you forgot or you did a mistake and it shows high 49 and it but now you might be thinking that you have given your name as 7 into 7 and not 49. And what it did is it exploited and by chance it gave you the output as 49, which should not be, which should not happen actually, and when you say that which should not happen actually, it should show your name as to be 7 into 7, whereas it is showing you your name as 49, which is a wrong thing or which is a wrong feature of a web app, which is kind of vulnerability, because it should show your name as 7 into 7 if it is even taking you can say the numbers and the special characters as your name, then it should show you as 7 into 7 rather than showing it to 49. So it is a kind of server side template injection, guys, where the server is not working properly and you can inject a malicious where just give me a second, guys. Yeah, where the server is not having any input validations, having not sorry which where server is not having input validations, or you can say um, they have not sanitized their input validations. In order to have them, the server is not having input validations and the server is not working well, where any attacker if gets to know can exploit this and put the malicious injection, or you can say inject the malicious payload, inject the malicious payload, which will unfortunately harm the server as well as the client side data. So I hope you guys have understood that how you can exploit the vulnerability and how an attacker can exploit the vulnerability in order to perform any malicious activity. But guys, I'm repeating it again, it is only for the educational purpose. It is not for you guys to perform it in a malicious way, so please take care of it. And 7 into 7, if you're injecting and you're getting it as in 49 as an output, or you can see you are able to see it as in 49, so this is a kind of server side template injection, and which is a kind of bug that you can see. This is one of the bug you can say or vulnerability in common web app exploitations. Now I guess this is clear and you guys have understood how a person can manipulate the data, or you can say steal the data and get an unauthorized access over the web app. So this is basically known as the web app hacking also. This is also known as web app hacking. Yeah, let me write it down here. Web app hacking. So I hope this is clear and you guys have got a hold of it. What is web app and what are the two main parts of web app and what is web app hacking as well, and how a person or an attacker can exploit it. I'll also write down how an attacker or an hacker can exploit this particular web app web app vulnerabilities. So moving on further, we are going to discuss about few of the common web exploits and how hackers can exploit it. So firstly, we'll discuss about how hackers can exploit these vulnerabilities, because we have been discussing about the exploitation process only. So we are going to discuss how hackers can exploit. Number one, a hacker can do is, firstly they can gather information gathering. They can gather a lot information about that particular web app, tools and techniques, you can say. They can gather about web app, that what are the tools and techniques that particular application or website is using, and if they are using any outdated version or software, they can exploit it. Number one, this is how they can exploit. Number two, if we talk about then testing for the vulnerabilities, by looking into the kind of bugs, or you can also say by scanning the network, or by looking for the malicious payloads. And that's how basically hackers can exploit using the number two. Number three, an attacker can exploit the weaknesses. Weaknesses are what kind of weaknesses? You can say the bugs. Again, the bugs over here, you can say the bugs, or you can say weaknesses like security misconfigurations. So I hope this is also clear that how hackers can exploit. They can firstly gather information, then they can test for those vulnerabilities, and if they found any kind of loophole in that particular site or application, they can basically go for the exploiting that weakness by finding any kind of you can say kind of attack vector like malware, or some creating a backdoor, or you can also say by manipulating the data, or by security misconfigurations, or you can say by trying to implement SQL injection. That is basically that basically comes under the manipulation of the data. So that was it for the how hackers can exploit. Next point we are going to discuss about is the common web app exploitations. Number one is going to be SQL injection, SQLi, that is also known as SQLi, SQL injection. Yeah, SQL injection. Next, if we discuss is second is cross-site scripting, which is also known as XSS. Number three, if we talk about a CSRF is cross-site request forgery, and another one is going to be, you can say, IDOR. IDOR is basically insecure direct object reference. I'll explain the definitions as well for these you can say 5 of these common web exploitations in this video only, but after explaining some of the important topics. Moving on for the fifth point, that is going to be security misconfigurations. So I hope you guys have got a bit of a hold what kind of common web exploitations I'm talking about, and these are the well-known common web app exploitations which you might have heard many of times while you're scrolling through your LinkedIn or any kind of community on the internet, or while learning about cybersecurity journey. You might have heard about these exploitations. These are very, very common exploitations. Now moving on further, web applications are the backbone of the, you can say, internet, and hacking them requires understanding of how they works. So as I have already mentioned and told you that you should understand the front end back end of the web app, because if you are going to hunt about that particular web app and if you don't know about how its front end work or how its back end works, you cannot particularly hunt on that, or you cannot understand the working of it. You cannot go with the flow and you won't be able to understand how you are going to exploit those vulnerabilities or weaknesses. So moving on further, we are going to discuss about is there are four things basically that comes while we have to understand about the web apps. Four things to understand in order to get a hold of web apps, which is number one is, I have already told you, front end. That was for client side, and number two is for, you can say, back end, which is for the server side, and another is number third one is, you can say, the databases, guys. Databases, why databases? Because on a backend server there are things, how the data is handled, the dynamic data, just give me a second, yeah, dynamic data, or you can say the static data, how that data is stored in the backend, that needs to be understood, and you should know how basically that database is stored or how it is working. That is also important in order to get the hold of a web app. Moving on further, we have is for the fourth point, that is, you can say, communication via HTTPS. Communication via HTTPS. So we basically know that if the site is working on HTTP or HTTPS, how we need to understand the communication via HTTPS is data transmission happens, okay, I forgot to enter in here, yeah. Transmission happens using what? Using get, post, just give me a second, yeah, get, post, put, delete kind of requests. And if you guys have known, or you guys have seen the, you can say, you have seen and use the burp suite, yeah, you might have seen these kind of requests where the data is coming in the form of get, post, put, or delete requests. And while you are facing them, you might have seen that if sometimes we manipulate these requests, we are able to see the manipulated outcome on the web browser. That's how communication via HTTPS is also playing a crucial role in understanding the website. So these are the four things that are really very important and you should always know before checking on or hunting on any kind of website. Moving on further, we are going to discuss about is the common web app exploitations that I have mentioned over here. First is SQL injection. SQL injection. What is SQL injection? It is a kind of process in which an attacker injects the malicious payloads to steal or to extract the data using SQL queries. Number two, if we discuss about the XSS cross-site scripting, which is basically injecting malicious scripts to steal cookies, to just give me a second, yeah, scripts to steal cookies, or to perform unauthorized access. Let's just take an example, and let me give you an example of a kind of XSS, you can say. Let's say I injected any kind of script, alert, cookie, alert, and then script close. I want a script which is going to alert me with the cookie stored on that particular system, or you can say website, or onto the login page. Let's say I'm on a login page and I wanted the cookies or the session ID of that particular, if there is any kind of malfunctioning in the website, if the person whosoever was using that website logs out of the particular session and she forgets to check that whether if it is showing the same page after, if the cache is working properly or not, and if the attacker comes and use that web app or website, and what they can do is they can use the script alert cookie in order to get the session cookie of that particular person who have used it recently, so that can lead to an unauthorized access. I guess this is clear and you guys have understood how we can use accesses in scripts to get the unauthorized access or to steal the cookies of a particular person who have recently used or who was using or who have used it in the past. So that's how we basically use accesses. Moving on further, we have a CSRF, that is known to be the cross-site request forgery, and CSRF is basically forcing a user to perform unintended action, forcing the user to perform unintended actions. Okay. And that's how if the attacker somehow stole the cookie and got the unauthorized access. Let's just take an example, unauthorized access. What he or she can do is she can, or you can say the attacker can just perform any activity which the user have the permissions for, but in an unethical way, leading it to the doubt that it is that particular user whose ID is this. But the person who is behind is actually the attacker instead of that particular user who had their session logged in with the help of those cookies the person or the attacker have stolen. So that's how CSRF work, and it performs unintended actions using pretending to be the user who was in the current session. That is what basically CSRF is. And moving on further, we have is you can say security misconfigurations, that I have already told you about the security misconfiguration, changing or manipulating the requests, or you can say what I was mentioning, yeah, security misconfigurations security misconfigurations are the basically the weaknesses of the website which are very common and can be exploited if not taken care of. So I hope this is clear and you guys have understood what are the common web app exploitations and what are the 4 things you need to understand while you are hunting over any kind of target site or performing a bug hunting on it. And guys, these are for the educational purposes. Do not use it for performing any kind of attack or doing any malicious activity. I am repeating it again and again, and I have repeated it from my first video while I started the CEH V13 module. I have been repeating this constantly, so please take care of it. And I hope this is clear that what are web apps and what are basically the 2 main parts of the web apps and how web app works and how it handles the data, and also the exploitations and web app exploitations, common web app exploitations. And after that, I have also told you some kind of things that you need to take care of while working on the web apps. So I hope this video is pretty clear and you guys have get a hold of it till now. And for the next part of the video, we are going to discuss about the OWASP top 10, which is going to be in the part 2, and part 3 is going to be a proper hands-on session where I'll be showing you how to perform these attacks, but in a ethical way and as a white hat hacker, not as an not as in black hat hacker. So I'll be showing you how you I will be taking any kind of bug bounty program if there will be any available, and it is going to be interesting because you guys can get a hold and you guys can understand how things work that way. So please use it for the educational purpose only. You do not use it for any kind of malicious activity. I hope this is clear and you guys have got a hold. And if you like the video, please do subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. Also share it with your friends and colleagues so that they can also get a benefit out of it. If you are understanding and if you want me to change something, please do mention it in a comment section so that I can change accordingly and also give you a benefit for this from this. So till the time, take care and see you guys in the next video. That was going to be the part 2 of it. Bye bye, take care.